going in the main of JimWolf, and they're going for a classic old little base trade here. We see that chitinous plating is going down for those Ultras, and the chitinous plating does help a lot against the Marine fire to makes the Ultras more able to deal with that. And is a very good upgrade when you're dealing with mass Marines. But these Marines are just doing such an effective job. Look at them splashing those Overlords and destroying them. Meanwhile, back in the base here, we see that what looks like he decided to pull most of his drop back, leaving... Oh, he's still got a lot here. But there are quite a few Marines and a tank in the mix here. I don't know if they'll be able to deal with this, but with this running these, I don't know about that, running these infestors straight into their death there. They didn't even do any casting. I don't think that was worth it at all. Meanwhile, this lone Overlord is still in the back of the base doing its thing, and now it looks like JimWolf has decided he's going to do a drop on the island. Although he's losing 3 of his Overlords before they're able to drop. That was definitely a miss micro right there. Coming from JimWolf, he should have dropped a lot sooner or on the edge, so that he lost all of his Overlords, and Nike's Planetary Fortress able to handily deal with any units that were dropped, especially with a few SCVs repairing. Meanwhile, we see a drop is being done by Neiki in the main of JimWolf to counter this, and he's going to be able to take out again that the Overlord. Although now notice how much longer the Overlord stays alive with that chitinous plating upgrade. The chitinous plating upgrade is such a worthwhile upgrade to get when you're going up against any kind of low damage units in mass. Meanwhile, man, this game is I'm running out of breath here. So meanwhile, another drop going down. The Ling's able to come in, and looks like they're going to be able to clean it up. No, the Marine's able to take them out, and these clunky Ultralisks just not able to get in there and deal the damage they need to deal to these high damage ranged Marines with such low health, and he's forced to actually pull them back, as he does not want to lose another Ultralisk, these expensive Ultralisks, to these Marines. But it's so true that just 6 Marines that are microed well in a base like this, like, he's going to pull them in there. The Ultralisk Cavern has gone down, and look at them, able to pick up all 6 Marines. None of them died. None of them died to what was 2 or 3 Ultralisk attacks, and I think that I have to say that I wish the Ultralisks were somehow a little bit more powerful, because they seem so lackluster at the moment. I know a lot of people have said that they're kind of overpowered against certain units, but I mean, I just think that they should do better against Marines than they're doing currently. Taking out the Ultralisk Cavern again. I like this that JimWolf had 2 Ultralisk Caverns, so that he wouldn't have a problem with that. And Neiki going for his Ultralisk Caverns, even though Neiki has been seeming to have no major problem with dealing with JimWolf's Ultralisks. So, and meanwhile, here we go, and funneling the Ultralisks in. I mean, these Marines are just going to be able to destroy these Ultralisks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 Ultralisks going down to that mass ball of Marines with very, very minimal damage to the Marines. And I think that was a huge loss for JimWolf right there. But JimWolf macroing up here. I mean, let's check the income tab real quick here and see what's going on there. No, actually, it looks like we're equalizing out with this base being removed. I missed that one. There we go. Finally, I noticed something that I missed. And this base is fully saturated here. Both players are playing on a low econ game at the moment. They've got high-tech, low econ, so this is going to be really taxing for them, as the units they have fielded right now are pretty much all the units they have. We noticed that Neiki is running on a no Vespene army, which is why he's stuck with these mass Marines, although that might be his strategy. But he has only 18 Harvesters to JimWolf's 34 right now. And look at this well-placed Baneling taking out a Marine, although Neiki just smartly dropping 1 Marine to eat up the Baneling, which is definitely worth the cost, as you're trading 50 minerals and 25 Vespene for just your own 50 minerals. So definitely a worthwhile trade if you only lose 1 Marine per Baneling. Meanwhile, see, this dropship is still chilling over here. Hasn't done anything since we saw it earlier. These units are moving around trying to deal with this here. Oh, and look at that drop on here. Oh man, looks like JimWolf is going to be losing a lot, but dropping the Banelings on the army. Wow, beautiful play by JimWolf. Beautiful play. I definitely thought that was going to turn out to be in Nike's favor, but he was able to get in there and drop those Banelings and do a massive amount of damage to Nike's army, and now Neiki has lost about half of his forces, but he's trying to come in here with another drop, losing some more of those forces to a few more Banelings, and still able to keep only 7 Marines left for his forces right now. Meanwhile, we see these Marines kind of going around the map, checking things out. out, scouting around to make sure that there are no hidden expansions. But there is still this expansion and still a lot of lings on the field. Let's check the army tab real quick and see what's going on there. We see that Neiki definitely has a larger force at the moment, but a lot of that might be tied up in these medevacs. So the medevacs are counted in the army count, whereas overlords and overseers and things like that are not. So in the end, I think that they might have about an equal force at the moment. Let's check the units tab real quick and see what is actually on the field. So we're looking at 45 Marines right now, a siege tank, 6 medevacs, an Ultralisks, 8 Banelings, and 56 Zerglings right now. And meanwhile, we're at this tentative point in the game where both players are kind of unsure what to do. I think, you know, Neiki doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough minerals to expand, and he needs to keep building his army at the same time. But he's gonna have to make an expansion, so he needs to start thinking about saving up his minerals so that he can make that expansion. Because it looks like JimWolf is gonna be passing him in the econ if he hasn't already. And yes, he has. Look at his income is over twice as much, or almost exactly twice as much as Neiki's income right now. And JimWolf, he's got his Ultralisk Cavern up again. Let's see again if he... no, he didn't try to put up another one. But look at this, going into Hydralisk here, which is a funky little tech swap here. We'll see if that is useful for him in the end. I don't think he has fielded or is building any Hydralisks yet. Yes, he has 4 coming out, and he is researching Zerg Carapace. I like this that he's getting the Hydralisk. The Hydralisk is a beautiful counter for those medevacs, able to snipe medevacs so quickly. Although maybe getting a Spire with a few Corruptors or something like that. So, but I guess the Hydralisk is better overall, as they are pretty effective against the Marines as well when you're using a ground army that is when you're using a ground army that's all melee. Since he's running all the Ultras, the Banelings, and the Zerglings, you need to get close. It's nice to have these range units in the back firing off. The same is for the same exact reason that made Roach Hydra so powerful against Protoss, because you'd have that arc of roaches that had the 3 range. I know they're 4 now, but used to have 3 range. And then you'd have the arc of Hydralisk behind them, and both able to shoot, getting double the damage, if you will. So Neiki placing the siege tank in the back so he has a place to fall back to. I like this placement in the siege tank, making sure that he has kind of a safe location, if you will, that he can go back to in case things get too sticky, because he is not able to run away from the Banelings and from the Banelings he can, but not from the Zerglings. And the Banelings blowing up, taking out tons and tons of Marines. Oh man, just so many Marines lost to those Banelings, and pulling back to the siege tank, but now siege tank completely undefended, and of course the Ultralisk so effective against siege tanks. Although this one at 22 health with 0 kills. Just, man, I'm finding that these Ultralisks are just being completely ineffective in this game. And look at this. Yes, I am missing things. A drop over here and a drop over here. Neiki throwing down 2 drops at the same time as assaulting the main base. And this is a beautiful, beautiful play from Neiki. Losing that main force, but using the small contingent of forces to be able to snipe out, well, almost snipe out the hive. I think these Zerglings will be able to clean this up before the hive goes down. They will, but he did lose this base right here that was one of his only mining bases. And now it looks like JimWolf is down to the 1 mining base. And now look at this. I have a friend of mine, so hey, Daniel Armstrong, your name will now be all over YouTube. So I definitely need to put myself on Do Not Disturb or something here. Let me see here. Whatever. We can deal with that later. So at any rate, we see that JimWolf is by the way, so that friend of mine is a friend from WoW, by the way. So he's waiting for Cataclysm to come out, and he says want to buy content, and I definitely don't blame him on that end. So, but Neiki definitely with that beautiful play here, and now expanding, and now we check the income tab once again, and we look at Neiki is at 0, he is almost completely mined out here, and he looks like he moved all of his SCVs. Unless there was some kind of drop here. I think maybe there was some kind of drop here, as he's down to 9 workers now. So there's definitely some kind of Overlord drop that went on that I missed, that went on at the same time as the harass of Neiki's. So yes, indeed, so much going on at the same time, so much that I'm unable to capture, as there's just so much going on the map at the same time. And meanwhile, we see that this beautiful drop here from JimWolf, taking out these 2 Hydralisks, and then JimWolf forced to defend with his, man, losing so many drones there in the process. He had to force to defend with the drones, and now he's going to lose his only mining base, and now he's pulling down all of these Zerglings and not able to do any damage to them at all. These medevacs one medevac going down to the fire of these spore crawlers, and now it looks like he's only got one medevac left, filled with 5 Marines. But keep in mind that, oh, look at this harassment over here, taking out all of the production buildings of Neiki. And now Neiki only with this one base remaining, with 4 SCVs mining, and 4 SCVs over here as well, and JimWolf with no mining bases left at all. And as we check the drone count, we have 18 drones for JimWolf at the moment, and only 9 for Neiki. So this is looking pretty dismal for both players, and it's definitely anybody's game at this moment. As I think that overall, though, Neiki has the upper hand, as he actually has 2 bases where he can do something, whereas it looks like at the moment JimWolf is sitting on 127 minerals, and he has, let me see, he has 1 hatchery to mine to, so he can save up enough resources with these extra drones to be able to get a new hatchery. And so I'm going to say maybe actually JimWolf has the upper hand, as Neiki has no production buildings. And while keep in mind that that JimWolf is long distance mining, he does have all of his core buildings still up, even though they will slowly start bleeding to death. Oh no, they won't. Never mind. There's a creep tumor here, so these buildings are okay. This one is not, though. But he is able to long distance mine. He is able now to save up 300 minerals, and now he will be able indeed to throw down a hatchery here and be able to start mining normally. And so I think, oh, and look at this, yes, this harass forcing Neiki's command center to lift off, and this thing is going to burn down, and there's nothing he'll be able to do about it. And now left with only 1 base remaining, I definitely think that there's nothing Neiki can do anymore, and I should be expecting the GG coming from Neiki any moment now. That was a beautiful game from both players. We basically saw both players wipe out each other's bases completely, and left. It's very rare that you see a game that ends with both players at under 100 income in minerals. And here we see that Neiki at 0, and we see that JimWolf, he was at 40 for a moment there. He's popped up to 300, as it looks like, yeah, a bunch of drones. And there's the GG coming from Neiki. Definitely a truly epic game, and I'll try to get some more games cast as soon as possible. Probably not during the week, as I'll be pretty busy with work this week, but when Saturday rolls around, I'll definitely get some games. So if you got any new games for me, send them my way, and let me know what they're about. As I mentioned before, I don't like to look at the games before I cast them. I don't like to know about them. So if you just tell me a bit about what the match is about, tell me if it's good or not in your opinion, and I'll cast it. Normally what I do is I'll record the game and cast it, and if I find that it's lame about halfway through, then I'll just stop casting it and not post it up. But so try, so that you don't waste my time or yours, don't send me a game if you don't think it's good enough to be cast, or that it's worth casting. But that being said, if you got a even a Silver League game or a Gold League game that you think is pretty good, and you want me to cast it from the amateur perspective, then I'll try to do that and try to make some commentaries on it as best that I can. So that being said, I'll see you guys next time, and I hope you enjoyed the cast, and definitely check out the link below for the StarCrack podcast, if not to hear my sexy voice some more and hear my hour-long interview. I definitely think it definitely didn't seem like an hour, I have to say that much. And so when I heard it myself, I was pretty surprised when I saw that the actual thing was an hour long, but it was worth listening to, and I have to say that that wasn't due to me, that was due to the interviewer, who was absolutely incredible. He just knew the right questions to ask and knew how to keep it flowing, something that I'm still working on in my casts. I find it difficult at times to keep it flowing, and he did that so very well. So definitely check him out. He definitely deserves some props for what he's doing with that podcast and for keeping the StarCraft 2 community going. So check out that, and I'll see you guys next time.